Emma wasn't the type to seek the spotlight. She preferred the simple things in life: a good book on a rainy evening, a cup of tea by the window, long walks through the park where she could think and dream. While her friends filled their social media with glamorous selfies and exotic vacations, Emma found happiness in quiet moments. Her friends never understood her. "You're 26, Emma, not 60, Sarah," her closest friend, or so she thought, often teased. "You need to live a little. Get out there, meet people. Have some fun." Emma usually laughed it off, but deep down, it stung. She knew she was different, but why did that make her boring? One Thursday evening, Sarah called with unusual excitement. "You have to come to this dinner party tonight," she insisted. "It's at a really nice restaurant, and it'll be fun. Trust me, you'll thank me later." Emma hesitated. Crowded places always made her uncomfortable, but Sarah kept pushing. Finally, Emma gave in, telling herself it wouldn't be so bad. When she arrived, the venue took her breath away. It was an upscale restaurant with chandeliers that glimmered like diamonds. The guests were equally dazzling, dressed in designer clothes, sipping wine, and exchanging stories of luxury cars and European vacations. Emma felt like a misplaced puzzle piece. She had worn her favorite floral dress, simple but pretty. Now, standing among sequins and silk, she felt painfully out of place. She quietly took a seat at the end of the table, hoping no one would notice her discomfort. But Sarah wasn't about to let her blend into the background. With a sly grin, Sarah clapped her hands dramatically. "Everyone, attention. Tonight, we've planned something special for our dear Emma," she announced. "We've set her up on a blind date." Laughter rippled through the group. Emma's stomach twisted. A blind date. She hadn't agreed to this. As Sarah guided her to an empty chair near the center, Emma overheard a few whispers behind her. "This is going to be hilarious. She's so plain, wait till he sees her. Poor guy, he's in for a shock." Heat rushed to Emma's face. Her vision blurred with tears she refused to let fall. She wanted to stand up, to run, but her legs wouldn't move. And then, the room fell silent. A man walked in, tall, commanding, breathtakingly handsome. His presence alone shifted the entire atmosphere. Emma's heart pounded. This was him, the man they'd chosen to laugh at her with. She braced herself, knowing the humiliation was about to begin. The restaurant grew unnervingly quiet as the man approached. Emma lowered her gaze, unable to look at him directly. She expected to hear mocking laughter or a sarcastic greeting, but instead, a calm, warm voice reached her ears. "Hi," he said gently, offering his hand. "I'm Lucas." Emma blinked in surprise, hesitating before taking his hand. His grip was firm yet kind, nothing like the cold, mocking tone she had braced herself for. You're here to meet me?" she asked softly, her voice trembling. Lucas smiled, not the arrogant smirk she'd anticipated, but a genuine, steady smile. "Yes, Emma. I've been looking forward to meeting you." Her brows furrowed. "You have," she repeated, utterly confused. Lucas pulled out the chair beside her and sat down, completely ignoring the other guests, whose smirks and stifled laughter filled the room like a buzzing wasp nest. He leaned slightly closer, his voice lowering so only she could hear. "I was told this dinner was for a business introduction," he explained, his tone sincere. "But now that I'm here, I think it might be something far more important." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She didn't know whether to feel relieved or more nervous. Across the table, Sarah exchanged a glance with another friend, barely able to hide her amusement. This wasn't how the prank was supposed to unfold. They had expected Lucas to laugh the moment he saw Emma and play along with their cruel little game. As the dinner continued, Lucas kept his full attention on Emma. He asked about her life, her favorite books, the places she dreamed of visiting. With each question, Emma felt her walls slowly crumbling. No one had ever listened to her so intently before. For a fleeting moment, she almost forgot about the whispers and cruel intentions surrounding her. But Sarah couldn't resist stirring the pot. She leaned forward with a smirk and said loudly, "Lucas, you do realize this was all just for fun, right? Emma's not really your type." Laughter erupted around the table. Emma froze, her cheeks burning with shame. She quickly pushed her chair back, ready to escape, but before she could stand, Lucas reached out and took her hand firmly. His eyes turned icy as he glared at Sarah and the others. "The only joke here," he said, his voice sharp and controlled, "is how you all treat someone so kind and genuine." The room went completely silent. No one had expected him to defend her. The silence that followed Lucas's words was deafening. The clinking of cutlery and laughter that had filled the restaurant moments before vanished into a thick, suffocating stillness. Everyone sat frozen, unsure of how to react. Sarah's smirk faltered, replaced by a flicker of unease. Emma stood halfway up from her chair, her face pale and her heart pounding so hard she thought everyone could hear it. "This isn't real," she told herself. "It's just a cruel prank that's gone too far. I need to leave before they humiliate me even more." But before she could take a step, Lucas rose to his full height. His presence was commanding, his expression hard as steel. He didn't look at Sarah or the others, he only looked at Emma. "Emma," he said, his voice softer now but filled with something that made her chest tighten, "please, sit down. Don't let their cruelty chase you away." Reluctantly, she sat, trembling, as Lucas turned to face the room. His jaw tightened, and when he spoke again, his tone was sharp and unyielding. "You all think this is a game," he said, sweeping his gaze over the stunned group. "But let me tell you something, my life isn't a game. I don't have time for shallow people who take pleasure in humiliating others." The guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Then, his voice softened again as he turned back to Emma. "I'm a single father," he confessed, his eyes glistening with raw honesty. "My daughter, Lily, is my world. Ever since her mother passed away, I've been searching, not just for someone to love me, but someone who could truly love her. Someone who understands what it means to be patient, kind, and real." Emma's breath caught. Tears welled in her eyes. "Why me?" she thought. "He barely knows me." As if reading her thoughts, Lucas knelt on one knee right there in the middle of the dining room. Gasps erupted around them. A woman at the table dropped her wine glass, the sharp crack of shattering glass punctuating the moment. "Emma," Lucas said, his voice steady and sure, "I know this is sudden. But sometimes, the heart knows before the mind does. Will you give me the honor of being part of my life, and my daughter's life, as my partner?" Emma's hands flew to her mouth. She looked around, seeing the shocked, wide-eyed faces of those who had mocked her. Their cruel joke had backfired spectacularly. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered, "Yes, Lucas. Yes." And the entire room erupted into stunned silence once more. The entire restaurant seemed frozen in time. Emma's trembling, "yes," still hung in the air like a fragile note that no one dared to break. Sarah's jaw was practically on the floor, her perfect red lips parted in disbelief. The other guests exchanged nervous, wide-eyed glances, unsure of whether to clap, laugh, or simply disappear. Lucas rose gracefully, still holding Emma's hand as if it were the most precious thing in the world. Without looking at anyone else, he guided her toward the door. His broad shoulders and calm authority created a barrier between Emma and the crowd's judgmental stares. For the first time that night, Emma felt safe. Sarah scrambled to her feet. "Lucas, wait," she called after them, her voice tinged with desperation. "It was just a joke, we didn't mean." Lucas turned sharply, his expression icy. "You didn't mean to hurt her. You humiliated her in front of everyone for your own entertainment." His voice cut through the room like a blade. "That says everything about the kind of people you are. I won't waste another second here." Without another glance, he led Emma out into the cool night air. In the weeks that followed, Emma's life transformed in ways she had never imagined. Lucas introduced her to his daughter, Lily, a sweet, bright-eyed little girl with curly brown hair and an infectious laugh. The moment Emma knelt down and greeted her, Lily threw her tiny arms around Emma's neck as if she'd known her forever. Tears welled in Emma's eyes. She felt something deep and unspoken, a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. Lucas watched them with a tender smile. "See, I told you she'd love you instantly," he said softly. From that day on, Emma became part of their small, fragile family. She read Lily bedtime stories, baked cookies with her on weekends, and filled the house with laughter and warmth. Lucas often stood quietly in the doorway, silently grateful for the gentle light Emma brought into their lives. Meanwhile, Sarah and the others faded into the background. Their cruel joke had exposed their shallow hearts, leaving them embarrassed and ashamed. Months later, in a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by genuine friends and family, Emma and Lucas exchanged vows. As they danced under twinkling lights, Lucas whispered in her ear, "That night began as a joke to them. But to me, it was the night I found everything I'd been searching for." Moral of the story: true love and kindness always rise above cruelty. What begins as someone's cruel game can become another's beautiful destiny.